Okay, so good morning, everybody. So this is the last lecture of the series on Ramsey theory. So yesterday we stopped in the middle of the proof of Rado's theorem. So let me recall a few things before. So again, the positive integers, I'll denote them n plus. And so recall, if you have a n variable polynomial over the integers, non-constant one, then look at the Diophantine equation f equals 0. Then D is said to be regular if for any finite coloring of the positive integers, the equation has a monochromatic solution to it, okay? And here you see finite coloring means really for any number of colors. But we can be a bit more precise. And so let R be a fixed number of colors. Then D is said to be R regular. Now, if for any R coloring, so here the number of colors is fixed, there is a monochromatic solution to D. And you see, of course, regular is the same as R regular for all R. And of course, you notice that R regular implies R minus 1 regular because a coloring with R minus 1 color, sorry, I should not, R minus 1 regular. A coloring with R minus 1 colors is a special case of a coloring with R colors where you don't use one of the colors. And so therefore it makes sense. You see, if the equation is not regular, it may be 2 regular or 3 regular and so on. And so it makes sense to speak of the degree of regularity of this Diophantine equation. So simply, so let me write degree of regularity. This is over n plus. You may change the domain that you are coloring and where you seek solutions, but here it will be n plus, so I won't put any index. So the degree of regularity of D simply is the maximum number of colors, is the maximum such that D is R regular. And so this is a number which may be actually it may even be 0 if the Diophantine equation has no solution over n plus. So it may be 0, and it also may be infinite in case the equation is regular. Okay, so of course, let me say that the same definition applies so not only to a single equation, but it's interesting to deal with systems of Diophantine equations. So same definition of regularity and irregularity applies to systems. We'll see later examples of Diophantine equations. And the point is, actually, if you have a given Diophantine equation, even a linear one, measuring the degree of regularity is very, very difficult in general. So not much is known. And so let me repeat the theorem by Richard Rado, a student of Schur. So let F be a homogeneous equation of degree 1 with non-zero integers. Then this equation, so this homogeneous equation, is regular if and only if there is a subset, a non-empty subset of the indices for which the sum of the coefficients is 0 over that subset. And so yesterday, we proved one direction. We proved if F is regular, there must be or we prove the la contraposée. If there is no such subset, then F is not regular. So let's now prove that if there is a subset for which the sum of the coefficients is 0, then the equation must be regular. And so you remember, let me call C the sum of the coefficient. So changing the signs of the coefficients, so we may assume this is non-negative. And we saw that if C equals 0, then you always have the monochromatic solution to the equation C1 plus Cn is 0. So in fact, so this is a trivial case. And so we may assume now that C is a positive integer. And okay, so let delta be an arbitrary finite coloring of the positive integers, and to show, so there is a monochromatic solution monochromatic under the coloring, which is a solution of the desired equation. So now again, by hypothesis, we have a subset of indices where the sum is 0. So may assume, up to renumbering, that the sum of the first m is 0 for some n strictly less than n. We saw that if m equals n, then this is a trivial case. So this is done. So we may assume so this happens. Okay. Okay. So then you see this capital C, which was the sum of all the coefficients, is in fact the sum of the last coefficients. Okay, and now say take any positive integer which is a combination of the C1, Cm. So here we ought to be careful, the speaker and the public, because M is M and is not N. So I'll try to be careful and not to make a confusion between the two. So take any integers which is a combination of the CIs up to M, from 1 to M. And then you see we have this number here, C, which is positive, and then any multiple of A is also there. So in particular, this is also there, just multiplied by minus C. Okay, so then there are some integer coefficients which express minus AC as a combination. Of the CI, let me write CI lambda I from 1 to M. And in fact, we may assume that all these lambda are non-negative. So why is that? It is because, remember, the sum of the CIs up to M is 0. And so if you take the sum of the CI lambda I, which is minus AC, you may very well perturb the lambda I by adding an arbitrary integer t to them, since t times the CI is 0 for all t in Z. So in particular, if you take t large enough, you know, originally some of these lambdas may be negative, but you shift them to the right with a large t, and then you get that. Okay. And in fact, this is like in Professor Ramana's lecture. In the first lecture, he spoke about translation invariant equations. And in fact, you see, this is what we are using, the equation C1 x1 plus Cm xm is translation invariant because the sum of the CIs from 1 to M is 0. Okay, so now then, we'll apply Schur-Brouwer. We'll apply Brouwer theorem. So by Brouwer theorem that I recalled yesterday, and that I recall, that I won't recall, but we will apply it. So first of all, take a K at least as big, at least as large as all these coefficients lambda I. And by Brouwer theorem, there exists A and D, positive integers, such that the sequence A plus D, A plus 2D, up to A plus KD, but I'm not done yet. This is a k-term arithmetic progression. And then you remember you can take any arbitrary multiple of the difference. And as a multiple, I will take A, AD. Such that the sequence of length k plus 1 is monochromatic under delta. And therefore, A plus lambda 1D, A plus lambda 2D, A plus lambda MD, AD is monochromatic under delta, simply since the lambda i's are all between 1 and k. And so therefore, this thing is a subsequence of that. So it's monochromatic. Right? And now we are seeking a monochromatic solution to the full equation up to n. And here it is now. Here is the solution. So let's now, I'm giving you a monochromatic solution now. X1, xn. So let's divide it into two parts, up to xm, and then the tail be defined as follows. This is A plus lambda 1D, A plus lambda MD. So I define those. These are those. And then this is constant. So you see, this is a monochromatic vector. Well, in there. And I claim it is the wanted solution. Not 0 factorial. Right. Indeed, because you see, up to m, we have to distinguish between the initial terms. So the initial terms are A plus lambda ID. And the last terms are all constant. And since they're all constant, and actually the constant is AD. And here this is CI. So this is what we get. Now again, this is a translation. And the CI is up to, from 1 to m, sum up to 0. So this goes away. This is constant with respect to I, that's D. So of course, this is D times the sum from 1 to m of the Ci lambda I. Again, because this first part is translation invariant. And the sum of the CI's, remember, this is our capital This is our capital C. So this is CAD. And what is this part? This part is minus AC. And we are done. So that's the solution, and that's the proof of Rado's theorem. Now, of course, this version of Rado is a particular case of a much more general result by Rado, which deals with systems of equations. So here is a full version. And it's an amazing result. So you want a system of equations, homogeneous, linear homogeneous system of equations. So take a matrix, m rows, n columns. And you consider, so the linear homogeneous system A times X equals 0, i.e. That system of m equations in n variable. So that system is regular if and only if the regularity, you see here, the regularity could be read off exclusively on the coefficients, on the CIs, whether there is some subsum, which is 0. And here it's exactly the same. You can read off the regularity exclusively by looking at the matrix. And how exactly? So if and only if A satisfies the so-called column condition. And now, sorry?
In Rado's theorem,
yeah.
if it is not regular,
yeah.
Can we find the degree of regularity from the coefficient?
I'll come to that. No, it's not known, but I'll come to that. But it's not known in general. It's not known in general. I will come to that. So what is the column condition on A? Well, look at the columns of the matrix. So let me call C1, Cn the columns of A. Then you want that for some subset, the sum of those columns should be 0, but it's not finished. Then in fact, you should be able to partition this full set of indices. This means disjoint union in so many parts in such a way that first of all, the sum of the columns over I0 should be 0. So this looks like what I just erased, the single equation case. And if you look at the sum of the columns of the second part, then this should be a linear combinations of the columns over I0. So it should belong to the vector space spanned by the columns over I0. And it's not finished. Over I2, the sum of the columns should belong to the vector space spanned by the previous columns, I0 and I1, and so on, up to the last piece. It should be a linear combination of all the previous columns. So it goes up to L minus 1. And that's the column condition. So you can read that only on the matrix itself, and it will give you an exact criterion for regularity, which is pretty amazing. So let me give examples. In fact, it's a very strong theorem. It's so strong that it implies Hilbert's theorem that we saw in Adhikari's lecture. It implies the van der Waerden theorem. It implies Shor theorem. It's a very strong generalization of all these. So, for instance, you see, if you have a three-term AP, it's dealt with by a single equation, x minus 2y plus z. But a four-term arithmetic progression is not dealt with a single linear equation. You need two. So x0, x1, x2, x3. So this is a four-term arithmetic progression. So if and only if you see x0 minus 2x1 plus x2 is 0, and x1 minus 2x2 plus x3 is 0. So this is a system. This is the system if I want to put it in matrix equation. So you have four columns. And here is, say, 1, minus 2, 1. This is the first equation. And this is the second equation. And is this columns condition satisfied? Yes, because in fact, the sum of the columns is 0. So this is, in fact, your partition with only one piece. But here is a more complicated example. Of course, needless to say, here we considered four-term, but of course you can consider k-term arithmetic progression, and you will have a larger system, but still. So the second example is with Brouwer. You want to have x0, x1, x2, x3, a four-term AP. Say x1 is x0 plus d, x2 is x1 plus d, x3 is x2 plus d, and you want also that you fix an integer, and you want that all these SD are monochromatic. This is a Brouwer extension of van der Waerden's theorem. And so what do you do here? You can take, so as a system, x0 minus 2x1 plus x2 equals 0, and x1 minus 2x2 plus x3 equals 0. And now what is this d? D is x1 minus x0. And so, sorry, I forgot x0 here. And so these, so in fact, you have one more equation. You have s times x0 minus x times x1, say, plus x4 x0. The difference is not known, so this is my fourth unknown, okay? So this is your system, and if you have a monochromatic solution to that system, it gives you a monochromatic sequence like this, where this is a 4-term AP, okay? And then, so this is, you can write the system as 1. So I'll put x0, x1, x2, x3, and d, which is x4. And so this is 1, minus 2, and I made a mistake here. 1 minus 2, 1, 0, 0. This is 1 minus 2, 1, 0. And the last one is S, minus S, no x3, no x2, no x3, and the x4, okay? So this is the system, and you want to show that it's regular. This is Brouwer's theorem, the extension of van der Waerden theorem. So let's see, if you look at the sum of those columns, if I'm not mistaken, the sum is 0. And you want to know, so what is the question? The sum over the other columns, there is only one column. It should be a linear combination of the previous columns. But now you see, I claim, if you look at this sub-matrix here, well, I claim this is of rank 3, and so therefore it will span Q3, and therefore this indeed will be a combination of these 4 columns. So this is a condition, right? This should be a linear combination of these 4 columns. So it's enough to see that this is of rank 3. But if you look at the rows, there is a 1 here and nothing else. So this system is free. The 3 rows are linearly independent. So the rank is 3 of this orange submatrix, and therefore they span Q3, and therefore it is true that the fourth column is indeed a linear combination of the fifth column. I'm sorry, is indeed a linear combination of the other one. So you see that it implies Brouwer. So now, all this was homogeneous. What about the non-homogeneous case? So in fact, not much is known. So let's take a single equation. Where now C1, Cn are non-zero integers, and B also, in fact. So let's look at this equation. And so when is D regular? Or more general, what is the degree of regularity of D? Well, not much is known, and let me show you some results for very specific equation. So let's consider now a very specific case where all the CIs are just plus or minus 1. And so even that innocent-looking question looks, in fact, is very difficult. So let's look at that equation. This is simply k times plus 1 and L times minus 1. So x1 plus xk minus y1 minus yl equals b. So that's the equation LKLB. And you see, since I assume that there is at least one plus sign and at least one minus sign, 1 minus 1 is 0. So by Rado, the homogeneous, when B is 0, so LKL of 0 is regular. But what about the case B non-zero? So it's unknown in general, and let's take the case L equals 1. So LKL, LK1 of B. So this is x1 xk minus y equals B. And then we worked a lot, well, I don't know, a bit, let's say. we worked a bit on this conjecture with Adhikari and colleagues from elsewhere, from Spain and from Spain. This was 2016, and the conjecture is as follows. So assume B is a negative integer. Take a given number of colors. So the conjecture is that L K1B is R regular, so the degree of regularity is at least R. If and only if there is a strange arithmetic condition which holds, and the arithmetic condition is that every divisor D of k minus 1, which is not too big, such that D does not exceed the number of colors, any such divisor also divides the number of colors. This is a strange arithmetic condition, but in fact, it is sort of natural, because if this divisibility condition is not satisfied, then we can create an R coloring. I will not show it here, but an R coloring, not very complicated, for which there can be no monochromatic solution for an R coloring. So in fact, we have a theorem in that same paper And the theorem is that the only if part is true. So if the condition is not satisfied, then there is a NAR coloring for which there is no solution. And the if part, we managed to prove it up to k equals 7. Is true up to k equals 7. But even reaching that was quite some work. And so maybe this is an interesting open problem for young researchers, maybe to try to extend this result and prove the conjecture. The case k equals L, the case k equals L now, and so you have as many plus as many minus. So let me write it that way. Equals B, with B non-zero. And here is, this was proposed by Fox and Kleitman in 2006 in a quite remarkable paper. So for all k and b positive integers, the degree of regularity of that equation, which is LKK of B, in fact, thus cannot exceed 2k. 2k minus 1, I mean. 2k minus 1. And the proof, I will not give it, but simply by exhibiting a 2k coloring without, and this is not very complicated, without a monochromatic solution to that equation. So this is interesting, but now, of course, an obvious question arises. Is that best possible? Maybe one can be more clever and find the coloring with less colors, still avoiding any monochromatic solutions. But in fact, they conjectured in the same paper that this is best possible. That is, for all k, there exists some b, depending on k, of course, for which the degree of regularity of the corresponding equation reaches that bound. So the first results. So let me say from the onset that in fact this was finally solved in 2017 by Schoen and Tascala. Did I write it correctly? Taxala? No, Tascala. This is a mistake. but there is no indication or no indication of what number B you should take to reach this high level of regularity. It's just a huge B. These are very abstract methods of what the least BK reaching that should look like, looks like, of how the least BK reaching that high level of regularity looks like. This is a very abstract paper with abstract methods in additive combinatorics. But before that, in fact, the first results were by Adhikari and myself, and then we had other papers with Spanish colleagues, and also with David, and also with Balu. And so the first result is a theorem where the conjecture, the Fox-Kleitman conjecture holds for k equals 2 and k equals 3. But even that, in fact, more precisely, so it's not only the conjecture, but I will show you the statement. In fact, for k equals 2 or 3, for any b, we can measure exactly the degree of regularity depending on b. So first of all, let me introduce a notation. Let's write f of b to be the largest positive integer t, such that t factorial divides b. And so our theorem is for k equals 2 and 3. In fact, for all b, the exact degree of regularity of LKKB is actually this number, f of b, unless, of course, no, it's not the max. It's the mean, of course, because it cannot exceed 2k minus 1. So it's the least of this number. So if b is divisible by a large factorial, then that's the degree of regularity. And if not, if fb is smaller, then this is the degree of regularity. So for example, so that's the formula. So for example, for k equal 2, when is it that f of b equals 3? Exactly when 6 divides b. So door L2 to b reaches the maximum if and only if 3 factorial divides b. And for k equals 3, door of L33b reaches the maximum 5 if and only if 5 factorial divides b. So that's the thing. And now, as I said, the conjecture is solved in some abstract way, but nevertheless, here is a precise measure of the degree of regularity for small k. What about, this is still an interesting problem. What about the case k equals 4? Can you measure the degree of regularity? Well, No, we don't know how to do that. And maybe that's also an interesting problem for young researchers. So let me show you, there are some strange phenomenon here occurring for 4. Where is it? It's somewhere here. And so could it be that the same holds? Could it be that DOR L44B is the mean of FB and 7? Could it be that? So, EG, for example, is it true that if B is divisible by 7 factorial, is it true that the degree of regularity reaches 7 if 7 factorial, which is 720, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, divides B? Does it imply that this equation, let me just write only one, does it imply that this is, that this is 7 and I cannot cross? And the answer is no, not at all. Not at all. In fact, we don't know when it reaches 7, and a priori you cannot recover it from the paper there. So the answer is no, and indeed we show we showed the following fact, that if for some B the degree of regularity reaches 7, then B should be at least divisible not only by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but it should be divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 13, 19 at the very least. But maybe there are more conditions, we don't know. So here's a question, is it enough? So for example, is it true that if you take B equals 19 factorial, DOR, the degree of regularity of 19 factorial is 7? In fact, we don't know. But, okay, we don't know. And so 5 minutes remain. So these are interesting questions. So let me see. There is one major conjecture in the subject due to Rado, which is called the Rado boundedness conjecture. Oh, I also wanted to briefly speak of the quadratic case. Yeah, I will have no time, I think, for the Rado boundedness conjecture. Let's see, just briefly, the quadratic case. So I mentioned yesterday the Pythagorean triples. So it's open since decades. Is it regular? If not, what is the degree of regularity? And there is only one result obtained by a huge computer calculation, again by Earl, who showed the fifth sure number is 160 that I mentioned yesterday, and also with the same method. The method is to take a combinatorial problem and you transform it into a satisfiability problem, and then you apply SAT solvers. These are massive computations, and also you want a certificate that the computation is true, and then even the certificate of validity of the proof is several terabytes in size. So if you want to read the proof, then, well, if you are patient enough to read several terabytes file, sorry, go ahead. So this is a massive thing, but anyway, I was here. So for two color, it holds, in fact. So, so it is too regular. And they have a very, very precise statement, which is the following. More precisely, for any two coloring of the integer interval 1 up to 7,825, but now I lose notation of Jean-Marc, so I put these to distinguish. For any two coloring of that, there is a Pythagorean triple, monochromatic. There is a mono solution, a Pythagorean triple which is monochromatic. And moreover, this is minimal for that property. Which means that if you two color the number of two up to 7,824, then you can do it in a very clever way by computer in such a way that there will be no monochromatic Pythagorean triple. Widely open for three colors. Yeah, I have we have a paper with colleagues in Calais where we studied the case of three colors, but not arbitrary colorings, but something called morphic coloring with some morphic properties. And in that case, we just restricting to morphic coloring, we could prove that it is indeed three regular for morphic coloring, but not for arbitrary three coloring. Okay, here is another example of a quadratic equation. Yeah, I will finish. Okay, so the other equation, so this is sort of a multiplicative version of the Fox-Kleitman equation, only with k equals 2. Look at that equation. So you remember in the additive version, the degree of regularity was bounded for k equals 2, it was bounded by 3 for any b. But here it's completely different. So here is a result we have with Adhikari and colleagues from Sevilla. And the theorem is that, in fact, there is no limit to the degree of regularity. There exists B depending on the number of colors, such that the degree of regularity of that thing is at least R. And for the proof in fact uses Semeredi's theorem on the existence of long arithmetic progression in a sufficiently dense subset. Yeah, I will stop here. Okay, thank you for your attention.